This show, I love I'm an actor too, and I love
Oh, great.
shows that are like set in a different period.
Oh, I mean, it's the best.
Yeah, and it's like when you put on those clothes and you go to set, I mean, does it just make things so much easier for you? Like a
It
character playing the character wise?
definitely, yeah, it certainly like whisks you away. You do all of your work ahead of time about the character and where they come from, etc. And you memorize your lines and then you get your hair and makeup done and you see yourself in the mirror like, oh, okay, like she's starting to show up. And then you put that costume on, and you're like, okay, and your posture changes and you just like start to feel it. And then you show up on this set that is like a standing set. It just lives on this farmland in a field. And it's just, and every facade is actually like built out. So the inside is like totally, set decorated, etc. So you can't help but feel like absolutely immersed in the world. And, it definitely helps a lot to see, the background actors doing their thing and seeing the other actors come about like you just yeah, it certainly facilitates things to a certain capacity for sure.
I was in a Civil War movie a while back, and I had to learn how to like load and shoot a musket, and something I never, why would I need to do that? So is
You
there,
didn't train to shoot a musket?
not when I was a child. Who knew? But like, are there any? Did you have to like learn anything for this show?
Yeah, I did actually. I learned to, I guess you could say, drive a horse-drawn wagon, which was pretty cool. So, on my way to North Bay, which is where we shot the show in Ontario, it's about like 3.5 hours from Toronto. We stopped at this farm where I had this like massive horse. Well, I actually did it with two horses, but on set I only had one horse, and I had to learn how to control the horses with a wagon and a big wagon at that. And so they had me do figure eights and like circles with it. And it's tough because it's like a legit old wagon. So it does not have a very good turning radius. So you have to like really gently turn the reins slowly so that the horse doesn't, maneuver too quickly. And because you can actually like tip over, which they only told me afterward. And I was like, thank you for not telling me that ahead of time because I definitely would have been more stressed. But, it's all about the posture and kind of being one with the horse. And anyone who's ever worked with horses, which I've had the wonderful joy of working with them quite a bit, they can sometimes be jerks because they try to, they're gonna be like, don't tell me what to do. And I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna tell you what to do. And then you kind of have to like own them. And then finally they just give in. They're like, fine. But it was fun. It was really cool to get to do that. And I do think I was pretty good at it. So I feel like I was like kind of harnessing this like my ancestry like or right, driving a horse-drawn wagon.
Like, how long did it take you to sort of learn how to do that?
So I think I mean, I wasn't really paying attention at the time, but I think I was probably doing it for like a good hour or so. And then every day on set that I had to do it, they would always like get me on the wagon and like rehearse the movement with the horse. And I have to say, there's not like very good suspension on those things. So you're just like jumping around and
Mhm.
you need like a chiropractic adjustment afterwards. But yeah, it was really fun. It's always really cool to do something like that. And I feel like as an actor, we're always learning, like you said, the musket thing. We're always learning like the most bizarre things that you wouldn't normally learn in life. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So, would you just as an aside, what's the strangest thing you've had to learn,
Oh,
like throughout your whole, career?
wow. I mean, I had to learn how to shoot a bow and arrow, which is actually quite difficult.
Yeah,
Like
and
people
very
think
cool.
that, and like so cool. I'm so cool now. Uh, and then also like ballroom dance, which is also very hard. Um, I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's lots of things. I mean, I had to like kind of like fake ski. I'm not like much of a skier, but I've had to do a little bit of that. So yeah, there's been also learn how to do like dog shows. So like learning how to walk a dog
Yeah.
in like a dog show scenario. I did that, which is actually quite complicated, and how to like properly like move their legs and like make sure their heads are high up, and like, and those people like really take it seriously. Yeah, I've actually, now that you asked me that, I've learned quite a few interesting things.
Your character, what, 1916, I think it is the show set in, something like that,
This was
1920?
1920, 1920.
She's a lawyer.
I
Yeah.
know.
So like, how does that sort of shape your character and how you play that?
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty big deal. You know, when you start to look at it, it was really in the 1920s that it was like the women's kind of liberation of being able to vote and have your own money and, you know, that kind of thing. And women finally being able to take the bar and like be lawyers. And at that point in time in 1920, I read it was like there was only a certain amount of lawyers in America, and the amount of women was 0.01% of lawyers were women. So there's only like 1,000 something in all of America. It was like really, really low. And so that's a really big deal for
Yeah.
Nora to be a lawyer. So yeah, it certainly shapes in that, you know, protecting people really matters to her. She's really smart. It also means that she's really determined and really driven in her life, and has like a really big heart. And the reason, you know, she wants justice in the world and she takes it really seriously. And yeah, and she goes to Brookfield and somehow starts to kind of exercise that, you know, and it's kind of nice to, I think there's a lot more people in and around Brookfield that need a lawyer, turns out.
Who would know? Yeah, who would have known? Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it was really cool to get to play a character that's such a trailblazer in so many ways.
You're coming on to this is season two, so kind of an already established show.
Yeah.
What's it like coming in there, like with kind of everybody already knowing each other and already have their way of working? Were there's first couple of days like are there's like nerves attached to it?
First season was like, I think it was shot like 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was
Wow.
2018. It aired in 2019, and then, you know, things happened in 2020, et cetera. So things got pushed back, and then it ended up changing networks, which now is a Great American Family, Great American Pure Flix. And so, you know, there was a lot of time in between, and because of that, there's like kind of some changing of the guard. So now I'm the lead of the show, along with a few others like Christopher Russell. And so there's been some changes in that regard. However, there's like so many returning cast, like you said, but they were so incredibly welcoming and they were so excited to be back, you know, because there had been so much time in between the first time they were there, and then they also did a couple When Hope Calls movies. So they were really welcoming. As far as like being needing to work with the previous cast, that was easy. I mean, it just felt like I'd always been there. Like there was nothing weird about it. It was all just open arms. But yeah, I was definitely nervous. I think first of all, anytime I start a gig, I'm always a little bit nervous, but that's because I care and I'm excited and I want to do a great job. And um, you know, I'm also the lead of the show. So, you know, there's a certain responsibility that you carry, you know, subconsciously, and you're just kind of like, I really want this to do well. I want everyone to feel good while they're working with me, and you know, that's as much the cast as it is the crew. And but yeah, you know, and then eventually the nerves go away, and you're just like having a blast. And yeah, and I did, and it was great.
I saw that you originally auditioned for season one,
Yeah, yeah, I did.
like a
That was
totally different role.
totally different role. It got pretty close, didn't go my way, which that's life, and we've all been through that about 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really interesting. Like, and then I didn't hear about the show for a really long time. So I was like, okay. And then it came back around, and then it came back my way. And actually, initially the audition I got for the show for this season was for the role of Hannah, which is now played by Sarah Fisher, who's incredibly talented and does such a great job. It just didn't work out in that, like, at the time I was busy, I couldn't do the audition, and it just didn't work out. And then Nora came around, and I auditioned for it, and that worked out, and here I am. So it's pretty amazing how, the trajectory as an actor, like what it takes you on. It's like one thing you think something, the next minute you're taken in another direction that you never thought. But yeah, I think it really worked out. Well, obviously it did, but also like for me being able to bring a character to life that I think I was ready to do justice to.
I just want to ask one last question about Heartland that you were on for a long time.
Yeah.
What I've never had this opportunity. I played I've done a lot of theater where I play the same role over and over again, but
Yeah.
starting a role from here and like ending it like years later, what is that like to play the evolution of a character for so long? I mean, thinking like now that you've had a chance to think about it.
Yeah. It's really, really special. And that's a really big reason why I wanted to do When Hope Calls, is I'd wanted to be on a series again. Because, like, in the movies we do, or, you get one or two scenes in something, you have an entire storyline that you have to create within like that one scene or that 90-minute movie. But in this regards, you're like creating an entire life. You're creating an entire arc. And most of the time you have no idea where it's going to lead, like the writers are figuring it out as you go. And sometimes you can chat with them about that, but you're really creating like a fully like manifested person. And I feel like that character kind of grows along with you as a person, like parallel to some capacity,
Mhm.
because there's certain things that you're going through maybe in your life that you're using that, because I always say, like, use what you know, right? So you use that in that world. And but it's so cool. I love it so much because you get to create so many different scenarios. Like, as a human, you'll have a good day, you'll have a bad day, you'll feel sad, you'll feel happy, you'll feel ecstatic, you'll fall in love, like, and you get to experience typically in a series a little bit of all of that. And I think that that's kind of the dream, like as an actor, to be able to really embody like a person, and they kind of become a part of you, whether you like it or not. And Ashley will forever be a part of me. And getting to play her again in season 18, just this past year, and I hadn't played her in 11 years. And when they asked me to come back, I was like, oh boy, like, do I still want to play her? Does she still exist in me? Can I still do her justice? Where's she at in her life now? What would she be like 11 years later? Like, it was so much to consider. But I just was like, you know what? I just want to do it for the fans. I want to do it to go see my friends again, like, and I'm so glad I did, because I walked on that set, and as soon as I saw like some of my old co-stars, she just like Ashley just came alive in her own like more mature, like professional womanly way. And it was like really cool. There is something really interesting about bringing just characters to life, and how that all happens, because it just does. It just like kind of like comes out of you in some way. Sometimes I'm just amazed at how it all happens.
Just like putting on an old pair of shoes, I would imagine. Yeah.
Totally, totally. An old pair of cowboy boots in
Right,
this.
right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I think you're great. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. This was great. Hopefully we'll do
Yeah.
it soon.
Yeah, yeah. And hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to you soon for season three.
Absolutely. I can't
All
wait.
right.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Bye. See you later. Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.